It's not what you do for a living. It's not your commute. It's not your circumstances. It's not your high pressure job. It's not the career. It's none of that shit. It's you not knowing what to do, you not taking responsibility, you not deciding to get some help to accelerate your results is what's causing you the problems that you have. My name is Brian Panuzzo. I help financial professionals build a life outside of the office that actually holds up. One that's built for stress, built for client dinners, built for travel, family, pressure, all the things that you deal with on a weekly basis. I know your life because I spent 20 years in your seat. Welcome back to the show. This is the Success Lift Podcast, and I'm Brian. And I appreciate you being back with me again this week. This is an awesome week for me in the middle of February because I get to get on a plane and take my wife to Mexico and spend some quality time with her and connect not only one-on-one with her, but also with a bunch of amazing other couples. We're going to a couples retreat hosted by some friends of ours. And we did the same thing last year. We went to Hawaii. So great business model. You get a bunch of couples together in a tropical location at a really nice resort. You charge them a lot of money and you help them grow and connect and commune together. And so we had a blast last year. And so we decided to go again this year. And I'm going to be pumped for that. Pumped. Can't wait to see my wife in a bathing suit. Love seeing my wife in a bathing suit. Speaking of bathing suits, I'm also going to have a bathing suit on this week. And I wanted to look my best because when we go on vacations, when we get ready for the summer, when we're around the pool, on the beach, going on spring break, whatever it may be, we usually want to look our best. Duh. And so what I decided to do at the time of the new year turning to 2026 was go into what we call a cut phase, a little fat loss phase for all of my people who don't exactly know or understand what phases are, who are in programs like the ones that we run. You typically are either in maintenance, muscle building, or fat building for most of the public, and or a deficit, calorie deficit cut phase, diet phase, as we like to call it. And you're in one of those three phases at all times, effectively. Now, again, asterisk, general public probably is in that fourth phase, the fat building phase, but not in my program. In my program, you're in one of those three phases, and understanding what phase you're in is very important. And so I spent about 4 months from the end of the summer or so, September, October, November, through December in a, what I would call a mild muscle building phase. Now, here's some quick education about these phases or seasons. Think about these phases being like seasons of the year, because a lot of times they line up with seasons of the year as well. Muscle building phases take long times. 4 months is not much time at all to put on sustainable, real, lean muscle tissue. But because I had nowhere to be with my shirt off per se, I do live in Southern California and you can be outside with your shirt off, but I didn't have a beach vacation. We weren't traveling for Thanksgiving or for Christmas anywhere. I wasn't going to have to be in any photos that I didn't choose to be in. I decided, why not use this period of time, which is a great period of time, by the way, for anybody who lives in colder temperatures, to start your muscle building phase in the early fall so that you have a good 6 to 8 months into the winter before you have to shave off a little of that excess, because that's typically what happens with people. Most clients that I work with usually have to go into fat loss phases to start, because most people have some excess body fat. And so we may try to shed that body fat quickly and then ultimately what we would call reverse them out, reverse diet, start to add more calories back. You must intentionally rip calories out of your diet in order to lose weight. And there is a science and strategy operating system to do that. We don't just eat less of the things that we normally ate to put on too much weight. We strategically make some decisions and change the structure of our diet so that it's not as hard to do. We don't try to out-exercise our calories. That is a fool's game, which unfortunately is the game that most people play. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people where they're exercising 6, 7 days a week. They have outfitted home gyms. They go to a personal trainer. They're taking supplements and they're 25 pounds overweight. What the hell are you doing? It's clearly shows me that you don't know what you're doing. And I've realized this in this industry now, being at it for 7 years. I've now, well, 8 if you include my side hustle, now that I'm doing the math. I used to think that everyone knew what to do, they just chose not to. Now I know that everyone knows what not to do. You know the things that are creating some really shitty results in your life. And you kind of know better not to do them. And why you don't do them, that's the topic of a series of podcasts on mental performance, most likely. But to do the right stuff, the stuff that's high leverage, the actions that actually get results for the minimum effective dose, 90% of people don't know what to do. And that's why you come inside of programs like this, to accelerate and time collapse your results. But that's not what this podcast is about. I wanted to talk to you guys and give you a look under the hood, a little bit of the how-to, which is what I'm really, really good at for somebody like you who sits in your seat. Because remember the intro, I spent 20 years in the environment that you do. I changed my life. This is the critical part of it. I spent 15 of those 20 being your very typical corporate professional, being out multiple nights a week, drinking too much, eating like shit, doing pedestrian drugs, gambling, not being around during the high quality stake moments, some of my family's life, being totally disconnected, being stressed, feeling like I'm in the mixer, having my life feel like it's running me. One giant scramble each week was just this scramble. And I would grind through it, get to Friday, relax a little bit, and do it again. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And I didn't feel like I had control of my outcomes. And then I figured out how to do it. And I spent the last 5 years of my career in the same seat that caused me the problems. Now, let's be clear. I did it to myself, not the seat. But I sat in the same seat, transformed, and changed my life. So it's not what you do for a living. It's not your commute. It's not your circumstances. It's not your high pressure job. It's not the career. It's none of that shit. It's you not knowing what to do, you not taking responsibility, you not deciding to get some help to accelerate your results is what's causing you the problems that you have. And so what I wanted to do for my clients was document my process. And this podcast episode is going to be a summary of that. They got to see the inside look on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis of me, already at about 12% body fat, 13 to be exact, on a DEXA scan. I'll explain that in a moment. To lose 10 pounds of weight and 0 muscle. Now, when you lose body fat, you typically will lose some muscle during that process. It is very hard not to lose body fat to lose weight. We all want to see the scale go down. That is everyone's primary goal for the most part. When that happens, hopefully most of it is body fat. Some of it oftentimes is muscle as well. And I was able to shed 10 or so pounds. And statistically speaking, none of it's been muscle. Now, based on when I did my scans and my body comp stuff, I'm not 100% sure, but I'll show you some side-by-side photos and they're pretty good results. Statistically, the results are great. But I don't really want to talk about the statistical results. I'm down 10 pounds. And for some of you who know me, or if you do know me, if you've ever seen a picture of me, to lose 10 pounds in 6 weeks at my current physique, or my physique as of January 2nd, when I started this, is a great thing, is tough to do. You can lose 10 pounds when you're 57 pounds overweight, or 75 pounds overweight, or 32 pounds overweight in a week and a half, just cutting out some bullshit. Because you start to lose some inflammation, the water weight drops. Now, whether or not you hang on to that is a different story. And so I set out to look my best for this trip, and I'm just about there. And technically speaking, at the time of this recording, because of course it drops on Monday morning, and I'm not recording it on Monday morning. I'm recording it a few days before. I'm officially down 9 pounds, but I'm on a trajectory to likely be down over 10 pounds at the time me getting on a plane on Wednesday morning. I think it's February 18th. Right, so I went from 233 pounds. I'm currently 224. And if I keep doing what I'm doing for the next 5 days, which I am going to, or at the time of the recording that you're listening to, hopefully on Monday, February 16th, when this podcast recording drops, I'll be down about 10. All right. So I wanted to review at a high level what I did and some of the systems I put in place and why I did it and what drove me, because I think you can take this model, most importantly, of all the things I just said over the last 10 minutes, most importantly, I believe you can take this, take this template and apply it to your life. Okay? Let's dive in. The first thing that you need to do is you need to establish a goal. You need to have a destination in the GPS system. More on GPS systems and destinations on next week's podcast, which is a milestone, by the way. Episode 300 of the podcast is coming up next week. Huge, huge milestone. Super proud of it. Talk more about it next week. Please tune in. Just a shameless plug for next week's show. You got to have a destination in the GPS. Now, with our lives, we have multiple destinations, right? We have multiple goals. We have lots of different goals. We have goals how we look and feel. We have goals for our marriage. We have goals for our money. We have goals as a parent, all of these things. But specifically, this one goal I had was to look my absolute best over the course of a 5-day vacation from February 18th to the 23rd. Okay? So I had a very narrow and defined goal. Now that goal was very short term, probably way too short term for most people. What do I mean by that? Well, most people can't get in the best shape of their life in 6 weeks. And to be fair, I will not be in the absolute best shape of my life because I didn't put enough time into it. But given where the calendar fell, I didn't feel like starting this process in the middle of December. I'm gonna waffle a little bit. I'm gonna hesitate. I'm gonna hesitate to say this because you can do whatever you want whenever you want. You can diet on Christmas if you want to, or Christmas Eve, or you can show up to the holiday parties and do whatever is required. You could. I just didn't want to do it. And so when I looked at the calendar and laid it out, right around New Year's was about the right time for me to get very aggressive with my plan. Now I started to tiptoe my way into the plan the last week of December, but full tilt, my start date was January 2nd. And I had a defined goal of X pounds lost, body comp, visually looking a certain way by February 18th. Okay. So we're right about there based on when I'm recording this. You got to have a defined goal because that goal needs to drive the decisions that you are going to make. Where you are today, the start of your journey in the driveway, in your car, is the start of the destination, start of the journey. The destination is the goal, where you're going to. So in this example, I'm driving my car to February 18th from January 2nd, and I want to look a certain way. That requires a set of turn-by-turn directions based on where I'm starting from and where I want to go. And that's what makes it unique to you. The next thing I did was I found expert programming. I got a coach. Now, here's the thing. I do this for a living. And so for a 6-week period of time, I was a coach. I know what to do. This is what I do for my clients day in and day out. So from a nutrition perspective, I'm able to program my own stuff. Now I have a coach for my fitness programming, my training program, my strength training program. And so I just stuck with that program, knowing that, this is another asterisk, knowing that some of that program was not going to be ideal for me during this period of time. And I also communicated that to my coach. I let my coach know that I was going to be fairly dramatically reducing my calories and that my performance was probably going to suffer. We talked through that. More on that in knowing the costs coming soon later in this episode. And so I knew what my maintenance calories were. Basically, the calories that I consume on a daily basis that neither has me gain nor lose weight. If you are currently not gaining weight nor not losing weight, you are in maintenance, we would call that. Okay. So if your goal is to lose weight, you need to not be in maintenance and need to get into a deficit. How do you get into a deficit? Well, you could exercise more, which is what most people do. That is a low impact action that you can take. Is exercising great? 100% it is. Is it the biggest lever? Not even close. Controlling and manipulating what you put in your mouth, both solid and liquid foods, liquid calories, sorry, not liquid foods, liquids, alcohol for the most part, has a big impact, a much bigger impact, a bigger lever, a longer lever than anything else. And so that's where most of my focus was. And so I got expert programming. I knew what I needed to do to get into a deficit. How do you know that? Well, I've done it before. How do you know that? Well, I've done it hundreds and hundreds of times with clients. How do you know that? Well, I have certifications and I've taken courses. So I'm educated. And so if you don't know, hire somebody. Find out. Go get help. Even if it's for a couple of months, you work with somebody for a couple of months to learn. One of the biggest things I try to do with clients is I want to educate them. I realize that people are not going to work with me for the rest of their lives. That would be kind of silly. Now, people work with me for multiple years at a time, sometimes, but you need to learn what to do. So like I have guys all the time say, just tell me what to eat. And I ask them, how many times am I going to be with you during one of these decisions? The answer is 99.9999% of the time, even if you live 3 minutes from my house, which I have a few clients that do. I still don't see them 99.9% of their life. Yeah, we get together, we train, we walk, we hang out, we connect, we get a meal together, we get coffee, we have a drink, but I don't see them 99.9% of the time. So if you have a meal plan that calls for chicken and green beans and you're on a lacrosse field on a Saturday afternoon, Godspeed. Godspeed. But if you know that you can find fast casual food like lean protein at Chipotle or, go to a Jersey Mike's if you're stuck and get a turkey and cheese sandwich, the number 7, but don't get the olive oil on it because they dump all of it on. Maybe get mustard or just the vinegar. And on the Chipotle bowl, you just get a little bit of rice and the beans and the pico, but you don't get the guac and you don't get the sour cream and you don't get the cheese because we might be looking to pull calories back, and that's important in this phase. Yeah, I know all those taste good and some of them are not even that bad for you, but it's additional calories. It's like you have to have the education. When you have the education, you can make the decision for yourself. I was always taught education equals compliance. If I can educate you to do the things that are the correct things to do, that produce the highest amount of results, the highest amount of leverage for yourself, you make them on your own and you get results. You don't fall off track because you didn't have your Tupperware container of your chicken and your broccoli on a Sunday at the soccer game. And so I knew what to do. I knew what to consume. I knew what calorie count would likely facilitate the response that I wanted. Now, each week I evaluated, I audited. That's what we do inside the program every single week. It's what you do at work. It's why you're successful. You audit things constantly. You're auditing. And so each week I audited my progress. And each week I made pretty good progress. So I had a good body of evidence that suggested that I was on the right path. So I didn't need to tweak too much, but I would tweak things each week, okay? The next thing that I did is that I got accountability. Accountability is an insurance policy on your success. And so because I didn't hire a coach for my nutrition and I already had a coach for my training program, I enlisted a free source of accountability, which you have access to as well. I asked the 60 plus clients inside my program to hold me accountable. Now, they weren't calling me on a daily basis. They were able to see the things I was doing because I was reporting to them inside of our community. And so every day I would report my steps per day and my current body weight. I would get on a scale every single morning. Every Sunday, I would check in. We have a accountability check-in process inside of our program, which is the anchor for our relationship. You get customized feedback every single time you check in with me from our coaching staff. You have your play-by-play analysis to focus this week on the things that you need to do, the actions you need to take. You can put your blinders on like the horse and just ride this week. And so each week I had a detailed check-in. I reviewed obviously my weight and my steps and my average calories and my training program, but I also had other commitments, and every week that changed. Some weeks it was personal things like I was going to review my goals. Other weeks it was business related things like I was going to spend an hour a day on outbound messaging and nurturing and connections, because connecting is my superpower. My network is my superpower inside of my business. My business is successful because I have a 20-year career in another world, now drawing people in from that world, and I help that specific person because I was you. But people don't always move at the pace you want them to, so you have to stay connected to them. So I'm constantly connecting with people, talking to people. The worst thing that happens is you have a great conversation with an old friend or a colleague or a person that you used to do business with. And so this accountability group was incredibly powerful for me because I knew that they were going to check in on me because I had to tell them what was going on. And can you imagine a group of people who's paying you to get them results, and then you go and embark on a journey that's very similar to a lot of theirs? Many of my clients are currently trying to lose weight. Not all of them. Some are in muscle building phases right now, but they're all managing their calories. They're all attempting to be consistent with the gym. They're all trying to get their steps in freezing ass weather, right? They're all managing like busy, chaotic, stressful schedules. They all had Super Bowl parties. They all had different things to do. Could you imagine if I was like, yeah, last couple of weeks, it just fell off the rails, guys. Sorry. I'm going to get back to it. I only have 2 more weeks to go and I haven't made any progress in the last 3 weeks, but I'm going to pick it back up. Like, could you imagine what they would think of me? And so that pressure that I was able to create based on the environment that I live in inside a daily basis with my clients inside my program, that was all the pressure I needed. Like every time I opened up my pantry when I wasn't supposed to be in there, I just thought about having to report results that were not the ones that I told them I was going to achieve. I told them I was going to do something. And like, could you imagine me being like, yes, I didn't do it. Just didn't work out. Last 6 weeks got me. They wasn't able to get it done. No effing chance. No chance. Now, I am somebody who is disciplined and motivated. And that's not because I have this genetic code, lucky DNA strain that I got the discipline and the motivation gene. I have standards that I live my life by. I have non-negotiables that I've created, and I now have a body of evidence to support that these things are the right things to do. And I have a motive, I have destinations. So motivation comes from motive. So if you are lacking motivation, I would ask you to start to search deeply for things that you care about and what you want to accomplish. Because once you identify those things, motivation typically takes care of itself. Now, there were days, many days, because I was paying costs, and let's move over to that section of this recap. I was paying costs for what I was choosing to do. So when you embark on a plan, which most people don't really even have a plan, they just like say like, I'm going to try to lose 15 pounds. No plan, no real reason why, like real reason. Like, of course, there's a reason. I want to feel better. Yeah, cool. I also want to eat 6 donuts. And sometimes eating 6 donuts feels pretty good, at least in the moment. So I understood what my costs were going to be. They were very much expected. I knew that I was going to lack energy, because if you are consistently keeping calories out of your mouth that your body needs to operate most efficiently at its highest level, you're going to be hungry, you're going to be tired, and you're not going to perform as well. And so you need to understand that. You need to not get bothered. Now, this is easy to say, it's hard to do, and I'm living proof it's hard to do, but you need to not get bothered when your performance in the gym goes down. Maybe the number of reps that you can do starts to go down. Now, this doesn't happen day one. So it's really been over the last couple weeks that I've been starting to drag a little bit. First couple weeks, I'm still rolling with holiday energy stores. I still got that Christmas cookie strength. But over time, a deficit accumulates, an energy deficit accumulates, sleep debt accumulates over time. You have one night of bad sleep, yeah, you're going to be tired. You have 4 or 5 nights of bad sleep, you're wrecked, dude, right? We've had those weeks before. And so I understood that I was going to be hungry. I understood that I was going to lack energy, and I understood that my performance was going to be suboptimal. All of these things frustrated the hell out of me in the moment, despite understanding them and knowing them. But just know, therefore plan for this happening. And so planning for knowing that I'm going to be hungry meant that there were going to be some things that I needed to do, i.e., deal with it sometimes, suck it up and deal with it, but make sure I'm eating enough volume by eating lots of lean protein sources, lots of high fiber sources, keeping excess empty type of calories out of my diet, saying goodbye to things that just rack up really, really quick. I just took this. I wanted to show my clients. I took a snapshot of what 100 and I think it was like 112 calories of peanut butter was, or something like that. I just took a small spoonful out. It was 18 grams of peanut butter or something, or 20 grams of peanut butter. Yes, I weigh my food. And it was like, for those of you on YouTube, it was like this, like, I didn't even fit in a spoon. It's like so depressing. And to think, like, not even really irresponsibly, but like if I make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it's like 5 times that spoon. I got like 500 calories of peanut butter on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And that's not even like an absurd peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So knowing what to cut out, things that are very calorically dense, as we would say. I started to consume less olive oil. I haven't put olive oil on my food in 6 weeks because olive oil is pure fat calories. I'm not saying olive oil is bad for you. Olive oil is very healthy for you. It's just very calorically dense. I'm not eating cashews and almonds because, again, fat calories, very calorically dense. I'm eating lots of fruit, lots of vegetable, lots of lean protein. I'm eating a lot of the same things on repeat, slight changes here and there. My clients got to see all of the meals. It was great. I was eating large volumes of food for very few calories. I was still hungry because ultimately it is still an energy balance thing. But on the margin, if you can fill your stomach up with more food, you will be better. You will fare better. That's a huge mistake a lot of people make. If you just try to eat less pizza, you're going to be freaking starving. And I can eat 6 pieces of pizza, no problem. But if I have 1 piece of pizza with some lean ground beef or some grilled chicken on the side, or understand like how I'm able to still enjoy some things, because this entire time, actually I didn't even plan on talking about this, but this is a good segue. I drank alcohol, I ate dessert, I had things like bread, I ate pasta, I ate all the things that people just throw out as categories. And so how many people do you know in the month of January didn't drink alcohol? How many people do you know that maybe like wasn't eating sugar or gave up bread or gave up sweets? Now, I wasn't double fisting this stuff on a daily basis, but I think I've had a Girl Scout cookie every day for the last 3 weeks. And a couple days I had more than one. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't eat a fucking sleeve. Because like I can have 175 calorie Girl Scout cookie, and then like tomorrow morning, I got to go tell my clients that I couldn't stop at 1 and I had 10, and therefore I ate an extra 750 calories. This is where the accountability comes in. It's like, there's no way I'm going to tell my clients I broke down and couldn't stop. What are you talking about? You couldn't stop. What are you, nuts? Like if there was enough on the line, you couldn't stop eating Girl Scout cookies? Like if you weren't going to be able to see your kids tomorrow, you would just keep fisting Girl Scout cookies into your mouth and eat sleeves at a time? Get the fuck out of here. So like these little things that we say, like you just can't just have one. Bullshit. Bullshit. You just can't have one. You just choose not to, because the stakes aren't high enough for you. And in this instance, the stakes are high enough for me. I want to look great. I want to feel great. And most importantly, I made promises to people I care about. And when I did that, I put myself on the hook. And if you want to get better results in your life, put yourself on the hook. You do it at work. Would you walk into your next meeting at the office and tell your team the things that they assigned to you, that you raised your hand and said, I got this, I'll bring it back for an update at the next meeting. And you walked in and you were like, yeah, you know what? Just didn't get to it. Couldn't do it. Come on. It would never happen. But it happens in your personal life because you're not accountable to anybody. And you don't have a true destination that you really care about and value. And so I was able to still consume all these things on a reduced basis, 100%. Did I choose not to drink alcohol on certain occasions that I normally would have? 100%. I had like 3 sips of an espresso martini on Super Bowl Sunday. Only because we went to our friend's house and the bartender was making espresso martinis, and I figured I should try one because I don't really have espresso martinis very much. I had like 3 sips. I would have had normally, even just like hanging out, I would have had like 4 or 5 beers or 4 or 5 drinks, just like casually throughout the afternoon and evening. I just chose not to because, number 1, I drove, but 2, like that was a moment that I just needed to act accordingly because I have a goal. And I put myself in other situations just like that, upgraded food choices, didn't eat certain things, didn't drink certain things because I had a goal and I had people that I was accountable to. I had certain non-negotiables. I developed certain standards. I averaged 15,000 steps per day. No questions asked. Now, I didn't hit 15,000 every day. I averaged that for the week. So yes, for those of you who know math, that means sometimes if I didn't hit 15, I had to get 17 or 18. Fortunately, I was in some situations where it wasn't that hard to do that. I played golf a couple times. I had a couple heavy client call days. I'm able to pace on my client calls, or I just decided to get my ass outside and move. And for some of you who live in cold weather right now, get on a goddamn treadmill. I know it's cold. You're the one who decided to live there. I did too for a long time. I moved to California. Now I got to deal with the taxes and the politics. That's the lot I've chosen in life. Deal with yours. All right? 15,000 step per day average. Lift 4 times per week. This is my normal program. This was impacted 1 week by some things like I was ill and I was extremely underslept. So I adjusted on the fly to 2. But I communicated that to my accountability group. I had a very specific calorie goal. I hit it 90% of the time. You do not need to hit your calorie goal 100% of the time. 90% is enough to get fantastic results. That's what I did. And I checked in. I never missed a check-in. Every single morning, I told them my weight and my steps from the previous day. Every single weekend, I checked in with a full check-in. And this is just a snapshot of what a program like ours, the Success Lift program, does with people just like you. We develop and install an operating system that is customized to you for your busy life, for your stress, for your commute, for your family, for those long hours, for the client dinners, for the travel, for the weekends on the lacrosse, soccer, baseball, basketball gyms, you name it. If we can do it, so can you. If you want some ideas on how you can cut 10 pounds in the next 6 weeks, I'm going to put a summary like this together. You can reach out to me at brian@thesuccesslift.com. I can send it to you early. We'll have a little landing page that I build for it, that I do a little walkthrough. But if results like this are impressive to you, which I hope they are, I'm proud of them. More importantly, a process like this is something, are you doing something like this? Do you have a specific goal? Do you have expert programming to get you there? Do you have accountability? Have you developed standards and non-negotiables in your life? Are you able to still live a normal life? Like this life is built. This program is built for real life. For those of you who are on or connected with me on LinkedIn, by the way, if you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, find me there. I produce a ton of content. My little banner at the top says extreme rules don't survive your real life. Systems do. This system is built for people just like you. And if you're interested in hearing more about it, you can email me at brian@thesuccesslift.com, or you can text me at 917-709-4283. I appreciate you. Have a great week. And please come on back for episode 300 next week. It'll mean a ton to me if you come back and also tell somebody else about it. Take care. I'll see you next week.